What's up, Calvin? Happy Wednesday. We missed last week,
Good
but
morning.
I'm not
Yeah.
mad about it, but I am mad about it, I'll be honest with you. We had 40 views on our last video. It's our our biggest organic views yet. I will take that.
That's the answer. We've learned that we're just not interesting. So just pile on guests.
Yeah, it's very true, actually. No, yeah, yeah, big feels, big feels. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's loads of things to all of that. I mean,
Right, right.
definitely not interesting. I am definitely not interesting. I'm not beautiful. I'm not a model. I have no social media presence. Nobody knows who we are. Uh, we're nobodies to start with, so starting an uphill battle.
We are honestly very nonchalant about pushing this out too hard. We tried. We're like, here's some Reddit posts, but we
Yeah,
haven't pushed it super hard.
I mean, part of me goes and says like I need to figure out how to go and get it up onto all of the other places. I mean, you sent me the YouTube podcast thing, but I don't think that
Yeah.
that's like the solution either. You know what I mean? I think it's like you just have to get it up onto like Spotify and onto Apple, podcasts and everything like that over there, and then really then yeah, just keep pushing. You mean keep actually putting it out into different places, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't know. Who's listening to fucking game dev podcasts? Losers? No. No, it's all jokes. Yeah, dude, it's been a bit of a wild and wonderful like couple of weeks. I really enjoyed having some people, other than us, to
Sure,
talk
sure.
to. Um, I mean, it would be cool to kind of try to keep that trend up and get a couple more of those a year or something like that,
Yeah.
Um,
It's a nice organic way because the people who are on tell their friends, "Hey, I was on this podcast," and that'll be our very slow way
yeah.
of getting an audience.
Ah, Jesus Christ, that's all we care about. It's just like organics per view. No, come on.
We didn't pay for this.
No, these people are good. No, no, no.
Yeah,
It's just nice to get again. Like the whole point of it all is just like talk to people that are in our industry, talk
yeah.
to them about their games. Really, not about our games necessarily, but like about their own stuff, and just see like how are they going about things. You know what I mean?
And that's why we started this in the first place. It was just to chat with each other on a regular basis and have an excuse. If we record it or if we don't, that was it's
Like,
whatever.
like literally, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
And like, you mean, yeah, I wish we were doing stuff like Game Dev Club and like forcing ourselves to play a game or do something and like have to play along with each other and kind of go from that. And we tried to do things like that with like multiverses. What did we end up? We played like the Diablo beta, but we never really talked
we
about it.
did. Yeah, we played a game kind of for once together, like, and then had thoughts about it. So yeah, but the Diablo train is almost gone now. No,
Yeah, that was fun though. I mean, like,
it was.
I'm hooked. I'm done. I'm getting it. Rex Dixon as well too, who's was the boss at Backflip, now is over there as the lead game designer on Diablo. Put up a bunch of posts for senior combat designers to work at Blizzard. So if you want to move to California, that would be a good time. You know, this one's at least going to be a hit and keep the lights on a little bit longer. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind being at Blizzard, I'll tell you that much.
I've seen nothing but pretty good reviews for that, and of course our experience was pretty positive as well. So you have Diablo Immortal that's pumping in,
A
uh,
lot less now.
yeah, definitely less now. I think it's probably still a top-ish game, maybe top five. So in terms of gacha, so I don't know, 10 million a month. But then yeah, Diablo 4 is gonna pump in a ton of money, so Blizzard's gonna be getting their finance in order. I haven't seen Overwatch 2's numbers. I don't know if that's been good for them at all. I just know that my friends don't play that game anymore. That's
Yeah,
all I know.
I mean, I've said it a multiple times. I mean, they killed that game as soon as they said Overwatch 2, and it was 3 years ago. Or four
Yeah.
years ago for some reason. They went and said, like, we're going to make
Well,
a whole new game, and guess what? It's the same game. It's like,
mhm.
just fucking update it, you losers. Jesus Christ. For
You
fuck's
know,
sake.
speaking of like getting a ear to the floor on what's coming up. So you were at GDC, and I know you were there for business, but did you get to learn anything about where the market's headed, or did you vibe, or like what are people showing off other than AI? I'm gonna guess there's like
Jesus
one third,
Christ.
one third of the talks were AI. I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
Every
Everyone.
conversation dipped directly into tokenomics and AI. I was okay
that
with it. I was
that's
fine with it.
awesome.
I was fine with it. But yeah, like 4 or 5 different AI NPC companies on the floor at GDC. Like a bunch of
Damn.
different stuff was just happening from there, and that was
Yeah.
that kind of yeah. I mean, I get it. You know, I get it. I want to have a conversation with Farmer John about the fucking political climate of, you know, something. You know, but you know, it was there. It was definitely there, and it dominated a lot of the conversations. The individuals on the individual side, like actual people and stuff like that, it was there as well too. Everybody's there to talk about, you know, how are they utilizing UI or AI in like a better and more fulfilling way. Hey, we have this 15-person studio. Hey, we have this 75-person studio. Hey, we're generating all of this content, all the skin meshes like off of it. We're doing all of these 3D scans of people and then trying to like data mosh them all together into like newer different versions of themselves so that we can get more out of like NPC pipelines. It was very cool. But
Mm.
it was genuinely like you hear it in different languages. Like people are at the after parties or even just walking around and they're just like AI like oh, okay, cool, sweet. Well, I know what they're
Yeah.
talking about for sure, you know. Um, but overall, like, you know, this technology is new. It's not vapid. It's powerful and it's useful. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can laugh at it, but I've got to go learn a whole new tool suite. And Jamie and I both left GDC being like, ah, crap, like we have to go now build our own AI tools
Yeah.
for our
Right.
own company, you know, for our own uses and stuff like that too. You know, like we have a whole text generation thing for Nuzly. It's like, well, great, like let's data feed the entire pipeline and the Dodo videos in and let it pump me out styles, you know, of text, right? Um, we've we've already got all the dogs and stuff like that, so none of that even matters. Like we don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. But there's plenty of ways that this is gonna change it. You know, just swap things up. Even just talking to a colleague of mine last week that I got to see on Thursday for a board game play test. I was talking about like, yeah, I'm just I wrote my own like little tool, and I wouldn't call this necessarily AI, right? It's like
Yeah.
AI in our sense where it's like we have to remember it's like an AI player is
Yeah.
almost just like
Yeah.
a you know can be just like a rabid monkey where it's just like, hey, I have a decision. What decision am I going to make that's best suits me? But in their case, they're using an AI to basically play their board game multiple times and do all their kind of like harder, deeper testing and just try to see can I find a dominant strategy to winning, right? Like if winning is the end goal, then what is the you know then what is the most dominant strategy to get there based off of all the randomness of the game. So just keep feeding it back into this model and just have it as like a completely UI-less, you know, client head and just like let it go. Super easy with Unity, not a hard thing to do, and I would say that the results will be like, you know, pretty useful in that sense, right? Because if you see that hey, the only times that players get into a winning state over 1,000 games of this board game is if they get these card combinations in this go, then you're like, oh well, we never would have found that. Because like we were all joking, it's like, well, I was joking. I just board game people are funny people to me, right? Good for you if you're out there buying board games. Thank you for keeping an entire industry alive. You're like vinyl, you know what I mean? But worse than vinyl, because y'all. Because seriously, like people kickstart these things. They wait a year and a half to get the
Yeah.
boxes. They get them, and then they sit on the shelf for another year, and then they pull them down when they finally have 4 friends over to actually go and play them, and then they unpop all of the pieces, and and then take out the actual like notebook and start reading how to actually play the game. That takes another hour and a bit.
Sometimes they gotta do the reading before the night before. You gotta do your homework, man.
And then you don't even get into the game, so then you don't even get to play the game, or you might do one round of it, and then everybody's like, "I'm good, thanks, sweet." What would you like? And you're like, "All right, cool. That'll go back up on the shelf to never be played ever again." Solid $140 experience right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you mean that's my cursory feeling on fucking board games by themselves. Like, they are great, don't get me wrong, like, they're awesome, but it's hard. I don't know when you have time to play some of these big massive ones. They're crazy sometimes, you know what I mean? They really are mad. But
yeah,
I don't know, there's loads of things. GDC was fucking mad. It was mad.
yeah. I was so how many times have you gone to GDC before? Okay.
That was my first time.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was absolutely my first time. I was
Yeah.
bricking it on the way in. We were coming in on the Tuesday, and GDC had already started, like, way in advance. The thing that they don't tell you, right? Nobody will tell you, is GDC starts on Saturday. The week, like,
Oh.
yeah, it
Oh,
starts.
yeah.
It starts before like all of it even happens.
Because they have like what do you call it? Like developer days or something beforehand. Is that
Yeah,
what you mean?
something
Yeah.
like that. But it's like there's like the GDC pre-breakfast and stuff like this, where just like
Oh.
a bunch of people get together, right? You know what I mean? Before any of it really even kicks off, there's things going on over the weekend before the events even start on the Monday. And then all the way through then the week, like at the end of the day, there's always just tons and tons of like after parties that are happening all over the city. So you just have to kind of like have your head on a swivel, be talking to people, and like try to figure out how, you know, where to go next. Because there's days there where we didn't have anything, and you have to really like deal with all of your stuff like a week and a half in advance. Like, GDC was pretty good this year. Maybe they have this every year, maybe they don't have this every year, but there was a companion app that was brilliant. It had all of the people that was in the networking side of things, so you could just be like looking through and filtering, like kind of like if you've ever done like a meet to match event, you can filter through, find the people that you actually want to talk to, and like request meetings, talk to them, just like IM them really quick. The event schedule is all there, so that you can just like schedule all into an individualized calendar that's like right there in the app, so you can see like, oh, when are all the talks that you want to actually go and see, like here they all are, subscribe to them all. Bunch of different events were all in there as well too, like actual like kind of, you know, like party style events. Problem was is that a lot of them, this is like was one of the biggest failings, and it was like one of my biggest failings too. It was just like a lot of them were all like Eventbrite or yeah, like Eventbrite-esque tickets.
Yeah.
So you had to go to a website and be on there like a week beforehand or whatever,
Oh my
or a couple
God.
of days beforehand, and get your ticket, because they're all free events. So people are just signing up for the free event, right? And then you have to show up with the ticket and make sure that you can try to get in, right? Because we had times where the thing was actually in our app, like you could see like, hey, like here's this Exola event, like, and then we went to it and we're at the front of the line, and then they're like, where's your QR code? And I'm like, what do you mean,
Wow.
where's my QR code? Like, I'm here it is on the app, I've subscribed to it, I've submitted to it, like we're here. And they're like, no, QR, we need your QR code, can you step to the side please? And then they just keep going, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, here's a QR code that's on my badge, like here's a QR, and it's because there was some companion Eventbrite thing that you didn't register for, that you didn't know about, and you didn't get in. But that was okay, because, you know, there's just so much stuff going on that that it's worthwhile to just, you know, keep pottering around and keep talking to people. Most important thing is just keep talking to people. My God.
Yeah, I guess we can talk a bit. We can make this a GDC-esque episode. I'll talk about my experiences.
Yeah, up to you. You mean, like, we don't have to, by all means. Like,
No,
it's stories for days on that.
Because Yeah, I know a lot of indie devs know of GDC, but then they haven't made it, and they're wondering if there's value. I've gotten that question a lot. Like, should I go to GDC, and what should I do there? And yeah, I think just like any other conference, in terms of pure business value, it's like it all depends on your networking skills. Technically, going to talks and all these and various other things aren't as valuable as networking, but that is there are other values to doing those things. So I went to one like back in college. There's this program called the CA program, Conference Associate program,
Mm.
where you basically sign up and you volunteer to do like 15 hours of very simple and menial work, like help stuff bags or check badges
Oh, nice. You
at the
got in
door and
on
stuff.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you get in for free. It's basically like a $2,000 ticket for free, because you do get to attend whatever talk you want and go to any part of the floor if you do that. So for all those poor college kids, I highly suggest doing the CA program because you also get lumped in with like 100 other or 200 other CA people. So you're just one big group, and you get to at least, if you have very poor networking skills like myself, you at least get to network with those peers, and that's one way to do it. But regarding talks, I remember I did attend a Sid Meier talk, and I don't know, it was cool. It was cool to badge Sid Meier's badge as he was coming, and certainly at the time he was like my game design hero.
Totally.
So in terms of being on the floor, and even if you're not networking, it is nice to feel like you're really in the industry. So that was, yeah, it was just a good feeling to be part of that overall.
Yeah, look, I mean, somebody told me this, like somebody way older than me who's been doing it for a lot longer. Is like, there's levels to this, right?
Mhm.
The talks are great for the college kids. They're great for the first to 4 years. They're great for you to kind of just jump in, but after a while they kind of not lose their luster, but like it's I mean, you pick and choose which direct ones you really want to go to, right? You're not like, oh, this one sounds cool, oh, this one sounds cool. Like for me, I'm kind of still like always like that, like there's still cool ones that I want to go to, but I didn't get the chance to get to any of them because most of them, depending on your ticket level, are like we had an expo pass, but I could only go to sponsored talks. I couldn't go to any of the kind of like main big ones. So even though there's talks going on all the time, I couldn't get into half of them because of my ticket level. The ticket level was still $300 for that thing. If you want your ticket, yeah, like 2 grand, like that's madness. Plus then, whatever accommodations that you're fucking paying for at the same time down there. Lunch consistently for 2 people, just like as like a sandwich and a drink, was consistently like $50-$55. Um,
Jeez.
so yeah, dude, we got like a falafel wrap and a Coke, and two of them. Not even two Cokes. I think I got one Coke and two falafel wraps. $55.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ, where am I? Just getting blindsided, like
Yeah.
absolutely just doinked in the wallet. But um, the other side of this then too is like the business development side. Those things are happening at kind of two major hotels, the W and the Marriott hotel across the way from the event. A lot of the people here don't even buy the ticket to go to the event. They're
Yeah.
all there just to schmooze and just to talk to people and have a good time. And Jamie and I kind of copped on that on like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we ended up started to like end of day, like let's go have drinks at the Marriott and hang out in the hotel bar and just try to chat to people.
Yeah.
And we met a bunch of people. We met Michael, who was absolutely hilarious. He was a dude who walked around in a kilt, asked me to pull his pretzel. He put a pretzel in front of me like this, right? And he went, pull my pretzel, and I grabbed the other side and we broke it. We broke bread together.
Yeah, nice.
And then he took us to a party at a children's museum that was being
Mm.
run by Supercell that Jamie and I had no idea about at all. right? So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
this like random, random conversation turned into something else, which was fantastic. We showed up, with games in hand. We had Batsu to play. We had Swing Strike. Jamie had Swing Striker on the Steam Deck to play, and then we had Dog Shelter Story on the phones, right? So we showed up with games, and that was big for us, right? So like we were really trying to get into the business side of things. So we were in the hotel. We were going upstairs and doing a few things there, and then just trying to basically talk to as many different publishers and people as possible, right? And ended up with just
Hmm.
as many cards as we could fit and as
Yeah.
much time as we could. But random things will happen. Like I'm in that hotel bar, right? Pittsburgh is playing in the they're playing hockey, ice hockey, and my girlfriend's been teaching me all of these like college basketball calls of like for Texas, it's like horns down. Anytime you see Texas, it's always horns down. Uh, but one of the big ones that she always keeps saying is "eat shit Pitt, eat shit Pitt." So anytime Pittsburgh is playing in anything, it's always "eat shit Pitt." So of course I'm telling this to Jamie in this hotel bar. I'm saying like "eat shit Pitt." This fucking dude walks over and he's like, "Hey, so I hear you don't like my city." And of course, he's the CTO of like a 150 person VR company.
Man.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh no, all right. So like now all of a sudden, we're having a chat and we had a good chat. We just had a good conversation. Nothing really come from it. Sometimes that's not the point.
Exactly.
That was the other level that a friend of mine, who will be massive one day and everybody will know his name, Neil Edwards, kind of came down and told me like he wasn't there for anything else. He was only there to, what he said, refresh and recharge. And I'd say if you polled 90% of the people that were there for any of those things, GDC was neither a refresher nor a recharger of anything, right? Because most people are there trying to wheel and deal and it's stressful. But that whole conversation really changed my entire outlook on the entire event, where I went and said, like, this is the embodiment of your peers. This is your industry. Everybody here is trying to do the exact same thing as you are, and nobody knows each other. Everybody knows each other in limited capacity, but we all have this one little thread that flows through us all, which makes me feel like I can open up to you, which makes me feel like I can know you. And I think that is extremely important of a mindset and a thinking position to have going into something like this. It made me more free. Like I accepted the peril of it all with wide open arms and loved it. Like we sat out in the grass out in front of the event and just talked to people in like a little fucking circle and just talk shop with other people, and I got to listen to a bunch of those conversations and that was great. Um, we stood outside some pitching parties and all of a sudden then the person who's running it walks out. It's like, hey guys, this is like a private event. Like, hey, no, what's up? Yeah, and just schmooze, and then all of a sudden they're like, come on in, all right, come on in. They're like, yeah, sick. So I like crashed a few different parties just based off of that type of mindset of just, hey, like, you're all here to do the same thing. Everybody's here for the same reason. Accept it and enjoy it, and high five some random people as they walk by. They're just as fun and as perilous as you. Like, and if you see nervous people, like, well, figure out how you can integrate them. Don't feel like
Yeah.
don't put a stressor on your own networking side of things. Jesus Christ, like that's what I did the first we got there the first day, and I stressed myself out because I was at this event I was supposed to be at. Partaken in a bunch of their previous events, and it was one of those things where it's just like you should feel comfortable, but I wasn't comfortable at all, and I wasn't drinking specifically. I said like, this is a business adventure, like I'm not gonna drink, so leave it at that. And then so I did a couple of laps of the room, and I just stood there one time and I just like kind of laughed to myself. I was like, oh fuck, like I have to do something. Like, I've got
Yeah.
to do something.
Jeez.
I've got to do something, or else, like, what am I gonna do? Like, is this what I'm gonna do for the entire week? I'm gonna walk around a room and just, like, be too afraid to even strike up a conversation with my peers or with random people. And I just had to get in. The first conversation didn't go great, but we got in. And then all of a sudden from there it was like boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. And I'm decent when it gets to the business side of things. When I can get to that, then it's like, all right, cool. Like I know how to like swim within this lane. So funny. Like one of the first places that we go to, and like all these people are just all together, right? And very clearly all the developers are over here. And then there's like 7 guys in Armani and Gucci suits
Yeah.
over on the other side. And for whatever reason, they're just talking to each other. That's all they're doing. So I'm like, fuck this. Like, I walk over and I'm like, so guys, you guys look like you do actual business. Like, everybody else here is like over here doing some other shit. And I'm just breaking in, dude. They don't know who I am. They're freaked out just because I've just come over and just started to talk to them and just started to basically berate them with things. But, you know, it's kind of the attitude that I wanted to take for the whole thing, and it worked out. I don't know. I mean, it made me feel more confident, you know, within the sphere of it all. So I'll take that. But I mean, yeah, exactly. Like there's places where there's, you know, people are asking for $8 million, and that's happening over there in those like hotel areas and off sites and different places. And then there's the places where there's the talks going on and nobody's asking for any of that stuff. And then there's the floor in between, you know. So everybody's there to do something. Just try to strike up as many meaningful conversations as possible, or non-meaningful. Just make them trivial and just get in, get out, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. I loved hearing your side of this because my perception of you're I feel like, just like from the outside, and I feel like many others feel like, all right, Sean's super extroverted. He doesn't have any problem just talking, giving talks, bringing people together, just super comfortable doing all these things. So to hear that even you were struggling to do certain things is definitely shows a side that, you know, I didn't expect, and I just think it's good. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I appreciate you saying that, but yeah, like for me, it's not at all. Like I'm not an introverted person, but I'm sadly opinionated in my own ways, right? But I have my own ability to, you know, kind of, I don't know, not be convincing, but to convince myself that, like, in my own convictions. And in a lot of ways, just in these moments, like, you're just in a tough spot and you either have to shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? I don't like doing it. I don't like just having to just like talk to random people. Like usually if I'm going to talk to somebody, it's like about something or I've got something going. But in this case, it was like, oh shit, you know? So,
Yeah.
but it's important to fucking try to bring people together.
Yeah.
You know, I think like the older you get in the industry as well too, and like the more that you've done it, and you see a lot of like younger people struggling. You know,
Yes.
we went to one of those like speed meeting, you know, things where it's like basically like speed dating, but for like anybody who wants to show up. And geez, yeah, I mean, so many students. I mean, it'd be great if you were a student and you had the opportunity to go to something like that. You know, portfolio in hand. Here's my cards. Like, here's everything I've got. You know what I mean? Like, please hire me. Please do something. I mean, I didn't have the availability to do any of that kind of stuff when I was growing up. So, you know, I mean, if you're in the area, I guess, I mean, it's totally valuable to just like go down. Don't even buy a ticket. Don't go to the expo. Just show up.
Yeah, especially when it comes to experience. Like I think for more introverted people especially, like if you don't have the experience, you feel like you don't have any much to offer and you're like, I don't even know what to talk about. How am I going to get these people interested? And like you said, I see this a lot. Okay. So, and I was there myself. it's like even in a small group, like a meetup, like I'll see a new person in this. It's there. They don't really have a project going on. They're just like super shy. They'll stand there and they might not show up again unless you are able to bring them in and make them feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a difference between. So we both ran meetups in the past. You did a talk style, like almost TED Talk sort of meetup, and mine is more show and tell.
Yeah.
And yours, I personally would find more comfortable to go in as somebody with little experience because you just show up, you do a talk, and maybe you'll mingle a little. Like you're not put in the line of fire at all.
No,
And
unless it was that fucking weird guy at like the second or third one that I ran that was like
I,
talking about fucking genus of children and
I
data.
wasn't
I
there.
am looking for a computer scientist who can write me genetic code to generate a new populace of human Earth. I had to ask that guy to fucking leave and never come back. Jesus fucking
That's
Christ.
what you get for being in Boulder.
Yeah, running a free anything that had food. You know?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
No, yeah, I
And-
could totally see it on your side. Absolutely. And that's a huge thing. Again, I showed up with 3 games in hand. So I was confident in the sense that, like, I had something. If I didn't have... I genuinely often thought, though, I was like, if I didn't have anything and I didn't have anything going for me, and I was just, like, another fucking dev,
Mhm.
it'd be a weirder, different story, for sure. But no, I could just be like, yeah, I do this, and I do a little this, and I do a little this, and I do a little this, and I have it all here. It's right there in front of me. Here it is.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have like any advice for people necessary. Only empathy, because also there's this one time I went to a Denver meetup, and it was like this was very early on, so I didn't know anybody. I didn't really have anything under my plate, but I went there, and I kind of like what you said. I actually like sat in a corner, and I was just so nervous. I didn't have anything or anybody to talk to, so I was actually gonna get up and just leave because
Oh, yeah.
that's how bad it was.
Yeah, I know. the feeling.
But just fortunately, I saw somebody there that I saw at a fighting game tournament before, and then I mingled with him, and I was able to mingle with others. So certainly for me, like networking was very hard, but now that I feel like I have things to talk to and projects going on in a studio, like I've of course have the confidence, but you know, I think it's certainly a skill set to be able to talk and ignore it, and like you said, just be like, hey, we're both humans, we're both here to make our game dev dream come true. And if you can realize that, yeah, that will give you the confidence to talk. So
Oh my god, absolutely. And I love it. You're totally right. Like, come at it with empathy. Like, you have to come at it with empathy for every single person that's there and everything that's going on around you. Even when people are pitching you their game, you have to understand that, like, they may have done that pitch, like, 200 times, like, just today.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't just go and take them at, take the, like, their one little slip up and be like, no, they don't care about their game, or they don't know, or, like, whatever. Like, I could feel myself slipping into it of like, yeah, sure, with that confidence comes like a big headedness. But and when you're trying to go and say like, hey, I'm trying to fucking get funding, like I'm trying to get these games funded, you got it. A colleague of mine, again, much older colleague of mine who'd been doing it for a number of years, was like, come with gusto. Like, if you're gonna do this shit, like if you're gonna actually do that, like you gotta come with some fucking confidence. Like you gotta really like be more confident than you should be.
Yeah.
And in those scenarios, goddamn-lutely it worked. Right, like absolutely, it was the most important thing in the entire world. Do it and don't look like a dickhead, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Be it right, but like even like little things like this company here, Play, their card says, PLAY, but the A is upside down.
Yeah.
But it's actually PLEY.
Oh.
Plea.
Okay, that's good.
So I've been very interested in appless app stores for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. This idea that our Unity games could just run straight into the browser, non-downloading.
Mhm.
I can have a persistent game state still. I can have a persistent server, but like everything that you get with it, excuse me, with like a regular app, I am just doing streaming over the fly through a web browser as quickly as possible right to my phone in the exact same feeling as everything else. And these guys are doing it.
Nice.
So I was instantly like, oh, sweet. Okay. Well, this is something I'm interested in the industry. This is something I can talk about. This is something I know. I want to hear how they're doing it. I want to hear how it's going for them. I want to dig a little deeper than anything else. So, I just kind of like berated them with questions for like a hot minute, and got the kind of like lay of the land. And now I have a better understanding of like where's that industry at right now? Where's that side of the industry at? Okay, is that something as like a developer I should be paying attention to? Should I care about that? No? Okay, cool. Then it's good to know what the limitations were. Because like if I am an indie dev and I'm trying to find out where can I like what's the bang for my buck, especially in this like crazy massive world of IDFA and mobile games never being able to make any money and everything else like that, right? So how do I go and like hedge my bets on where's the best place to even make my games and like make them for? And a lot of these platforms are doing like still platform cuts, but they're a lot less than everything else. So like this platform was like 10%, but DAO was low, and there was some other issues in terms of just like you have to go through their portals for all of this stuff. Like you can't just like pop it up on your website, and yeah, it was a few other issues as well too that they hadn't handled perfectly. I think haptics was one of them. They couldn't, because it was in a browser, they couldn't actually get to the haptics on the phone. So you miss like a level of layer of like access that you pretty much want. Somebody has to make an account before they even start playing your game, because if they don't, then they don't get the persistent save states on the server, and that's a problem, right? Like, a couple of other issues. But I think what was interesting to me is just like listening to Kongregate guys at one of these like parties, right? I think Kong is going to be in a resurgence. Like
Emily Greer or somebody else? Other people.
Somebody else. His name was John Johnson.
Okay.
John Johnson. He was a cool dude. But yeah, so I do, it's like they're really trying to retrofit their entire platform for
crypto?
the next. No, not necessarily crypto, but just the next generation, right? Like off-platform payments are going to become much bigger and much more important. And Kong is going to try to go the way that Netflix is going right now. They're like publishing 30 games a year and trying to get the metrics in the right direction. So it's like, I think that they're going to be, they're going to have IAPs. They're going to have all of these, all of these stuff ready to go to be able to, basically be their own app store. Everybody wants to be the platform, obviously, but I think that they could actually do it. Now, they have their own problems again, too. One of the biggest things I'm seeing with these off-platform, these like more website-y things is like every one of them is in landscape. None of them do a portrait game. You've no portrait web player or anything else like that. So I don't know how that works within this style of stuff. And most mobile games are, should be portrait at this point. If not, then, like, not missing out on a population. But it's just like, there's got to be a good design reason why you're going landscape, in my opinion, these days. So, there's enough data out there to kind of like talk about like how portrait's just like kind of the way. But I mean, that was my news. That was my experience. I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, I don't necessarily want to go into just on this type of thing, but I mean, the feeling is right there. Stuff, and then the work doesn't stop then until afterwards. Then you got to go and reach out to all these people and try to see if you can actually like drum up something like specific after the whole fact. And it's a little bit draining because then you have these good times with people, and then you set up these meetings. And we had one there the other day. It's like our second time trying to meet with these people, and they didn't show up twice. So that sucks.
Yeah.
You agree on a time and you agree on a thing, and then it just doesn't happen. So you're just like, okay, well, that's a dead one. and then you end up with far less than you think you do at the end of the whole thing. So, you know, you just kind of gotta keep her going. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're trying to overall summarize, like, you know, who is this worth? Is it worth going there? Like, I think you just gave a great example, because you were talking to people, you were kind of getting a lay of the land, and you wouldn't be able to easily see how much momentum there is for people trying to move away from the app stores. That's kind of invisible sometimes. And then on top of that, I could actually use like an actual example. So you mentioned like the congregate person, people, the congregate. Okay, so congregate. I don't know. I think it was 2 years ago. They stopped all their web games, and then they moved to crypto. Actually, they're making this huge pivot, and it was awful, and all the developers left. But now, only a month ago, uh, they're like, "All right, I'm sorry, guys, please come back." But it's not an open platform anymore. Like you said, they're just reaching out to some of their more successful devs, and then getting them like exclusive deals of sorts to rebuild the platform.
Yeah.
And that's like a perfect example where, let's just say if I was there, because I did not get re-invited back, because I didn't say bad things, but I kept saying Congregate's dead, guys. Please go away. But that's an example where I could be like, hey, I made this game. It won. I made 2 games that were the top game of the month. Hey, can you give me a deal? And then they would have given you one. So, you know, that's just like you said, just a random occurrence. You just talk to people and things connect over time, because it's not a small industry, but you know, things happen because it's small enough.
Yeah. I mean, they you know, were publishing their own mobile games for like a hot minute. You know, that was like a big deal, but they saw a return, but not the return that they needed to,
Yep.
like, you know, shed a company, and then some of them didn't bring a return at all. So, you know, it's all awkward. But
Can I?
yeah,
Oh,
go on. No, no, no.
I wanted to ask you a personal-ish story. So, or a question.
Yeah.
What is like the worst convention ish or meetup thing? Like, what was your worst experience in terms of going to one of these, and you had one? And you don't have to talk about it if it's too bad.
No, it's fine. I don't go to many.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very insular. Like I mean, I don't have a social media presence. I don't care necessarily to get involved all that much. Like I just
Yeah.
kind of like tick along and do my thing, and everybody else does their thing, and I don't really pay attention like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For good or for worse, you know what I mean? I don't really care. It's just, I don't have the patience to sit on different things for like a long period of time, like all of these platforms, and really go into all of them, like be like, I have to go to this event, or I have to go to this thing, or I have to network over here. I don't do any of that type of stuff myself. I don't.
Yeah.
But the worst like event that I went to was like the Denver Indie Game Expo.
Oh.
Yeah, that sucked. It was sucked. It really sucked.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2019 or something like that, and like it was like 5 tables in a bar.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I might have went to that. I don't know which year. Yeah.
Yeah, five tables in a bar, and you're just like, all right. Like I drove all the way to Denver, and I took all this stuff here, and there was all of this prep up front and everything like that, like that I had to go and do to get get a table here in the first place to go and like do any of this, and then 5 6 people maybe walk through the door, and most of them are there like for the bar, just they're like, oh, fuck you doing here, Frank? You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to drink, you know what I mean? It's a fucking Saturday, like I'm here to have some beers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those were some of the, like that, some of them just don't necessarily go the way that you ever think that they're going to go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like that there's like a nugget of something that you can pull from like most things, unless they're just like extremely unorganized and everything else like that. But yeah, but I don't know if I've really gone. I haven't gone to enough. Like even when we
Yeah.
were doing meetups and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like I rarely would I show up to somebody else's meetup. Like, I never even showed up to any of the, like, I didn't even look at the industry within my own fucking community and said, like, is there any game developer meetups in my area already?
Did it?
And I just said, I'm just starting my own, like, fuck everybody else. And then I did, and ran it for a year. And it was just like, all right, whatever, deuces. Like,
You
you know
had
what
a
I
lot
mean?
of people, so obviously there was a vacuum in your area, at
There
least.
was something. You know what I mean? There was something. Yeah, there's still something. Like, Atlas Labs is right there. You know, there are a bunch of game developer communities there. I at the time did know a lot of people, you know what I mean, that were dispersed within the industry across multiple companies in, you know, Colorado, but like Boulder, general bigger area, Boulder, Denver area. And you know what I mean, could I pull on some of those strings these days? Like maybe, but do I care to? Not necessarily. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
the thing I want to be like spending my time doing. You
Right.
know.
It's not trivial amount of time, that's for sure. Yeah, I one thing I was thinking as you're talking about that, um, it's so weird what kind of situations we're really good in and we're really bad in. So like when I walk into a tournament or even a game jam, I'm just like thinking, all right, who's gonna get second place here? I just walk in and you really own the room, but then like when I'm doing, yeah, especially early on when I'm walking into a game that more official thing, event, or especially maybe GDC. Yeah, man, it's just like now I'm just this cowardly lion in the corner. So I think your experience or how well you handle it does depend on your experience level. So I guess I have no other advice for people and myself other than to just keep going out there and talking. And I am getting better at it now.
Definitely. You know, just be confident in what you got. And if you got nothing, be confident in nothing. Have some opinions
Yeah.
and be willing to, you know, open up. Like, last thing you need to feel like is like a fucking idiot for just talking to somebody. It's like, hey, dude, look, we're all here to do the exact same thing. I
Yeah.
don't care if you
Yeah.
got nothing. Now there is a like that, you know, the whiff of fucking. You'll find it. It's there definitely of like, oh, the first second word out of somebody's mouth is what do you do, and then if you don't do what they want to hear or what they're there for, then that conversation might close real quick. But don't feel like that's like a big negative bomb. It's just like some people are there for very specific other things and they're very driven to deal with what they're trying to deal with. They're not necessarily there for what you're feeling. Like at the
Yeah.
air, like I'll give you the last example, right? I'm at the
Mhm.
airport at the end of the whole event on the Saturday, and I know everybody's flying out. So half of the fucking airport is GDC people throughout the things, but I'm in the international terminal. I'm not even flying international, but I'm in the international terminal.
Wow. Cool.
Um, so I write down on my notepad. I think I still even have it here. GDC after party, right? You know, hope you had fun or GDC rap party, and I just put it down on the table. You know, just put it down on the table, and I just
Yeah.
drink, and I'm just there. I'm drinking. I'm drinking most of the day because I'm long and short. I had friends who were flying to Prague same day that I was finished up with the events, so I dovetailed with their flight details. So they flew out in the morning, I flew out in the evening. It was perfect. We all went to SFO together and had a nice little meal at the airport and everything else like that. So that was nice. So I was just at the airport at the end of the event, just like fucking pints and pints and pints and pints. Um, but in doing so, then you find out like, oh yeah, then that person over here is like HR at this big company, and she's flying back to England, and these guys are all over here and they're doing their own thing, and they're all part of their own
Nice.
4 person company in VR, and then all of a sudden they have some crossover, so it's like, oh yeah, here, yeah, talk to me, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, we own this little corner of the airport for a hot minute, so it's like you can find that like that kinship all around the place. You just have to be willing to feel like the clown and be a little stupid at times, and that's okay. It's totally fine. It's absolutely fine.
I like that actually because at that location they got nothing better to do than to talk to you. They're so bored, they're just waiting for their plane. So
Yeah, 100%. And they're all just trying to fucking wrap up or just like get off of the buzz of the whole event as well too, you know? So yeah, you could make it a piss up. You could be out there drinking every single night if you wanted to be. Yeah, I mean, you could absolutely could.
yeah.
But, you know, that wasn't what I was there to do, so I didn't do it. It was 11:30 and I went to sleep.
Good to stay on your schedule.
No, for sure. But do you know what I didn't see anything about? There was no metaverses.
Whoa!
Zero metaverses.
Dude, actually CES, I think, which was only, I don't know, 3 months ago. Yeah, I mean that was all metaverse. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else, but either way, that is interesting.
Zero. Saw zero word of it.
Yeah. I was having lunch with a friend yesterday, and his nephew worked at Meta, and then now he said he left Meta, and on his own terms. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of bad signs if Meta's dipping out and other companies are dipping out.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's a cursed word right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You say it and it's like, I don't want to deal with that. No, I don't want to deal with that at all, you know?
Okay. How about blockchain and NFTs? Was that word still thrown around?
Not so much NFTs specifically. There was a hushed tone when it came to those types of things. There was some blockchain, but very hushed tone when it came to talking about like NFTs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so funny. People
And-
just whispering it.
Very much. It was like in the alleyways of other places and in the bars at the end of the day that people would be like, I heard that there's a NFT game going on
Yeah.
over here, and it's like, yeah, you know. So people are definitely interested in, I mean, I'm still interested by all means, just because, you know, obviously limited time scarcity and things like that definitely do drive revenue. We can see that it definitely happens. I think that tokenomics by themselves are really interesting as a mathematician person that I am not. But I do like economics and I do like macroeconomics like that. So it's definitely very interesting. What I did come across was a really cool little platform that's kind of emerging around all of that stuff called the Totem Network. Totem Network. And this was a platform for, again, everybody wants to be the platform, right? But this was a very well kind of like organized platform whereby people were put into tribes based off of the categories of who they were. So if you were
Interesting.
if you were a player, you were in this tribe. If you were a developer, you were in that tribe, and that kind of then broke up what's, you know, the DAO, the DAO, the decentralized authority organization or whatever it's actually the actual acronym is supposed to break down to. But long and short was that the biggest thing that was interesting to me is that it solved the problem that is inherent, I find, in this whole NFT blockchain thing, which is cross pollination between games. So you could, in this network, you could have your like lumberjack outfit, right? But you could sell your lumberjack outfit in my game, and I would have a companion lumberjack outfit to go with your one. So you could, if you did buy that thing on the Totem Network, you could go and look at all the games that are compatible with my NFTs, and then I'm going to go into those games and be in those games with those things. So if you sold an item that was really, really popular, other players would actually be able to legitimately take that thing and go to another game and be wearing it. Didn't matter if your game was 2D and my game was 3D. I would support your game because your item is like a top item on the network. So that gives me better cross pollination. It gives your item more utility. And then what happens is that if depending on it's all like a rev split. So every game on the network gets an equal share of the revenue of the transactions at the end of each month, right? So just like everybody's kind of coming up together. So if you keep, if somebody keeps putting out cool content and other people start playing into that game and getting all that cool content, gets those NFTs, other games then can start trying to cross-pollinate into that game by actually, re-implementing those items into their own ecosystems, and then every transaction makes every game, better. Which is the thing that I've constantly said. It's just like, until I can go into World of Warcraft and play Hearthstone with my Hearthstone deck inside the tavern, this is moot. And I could do that without a blockchain, without NFTs, right? I could absolutely, if I was Blizzard, I'd be doing that tomorrow. But,
Right.
Because that's the fucking game, right? Like, I want to be able to, why can't I look at the Hearthstone table inside of a tavern in Stormwind and start playing the game there? Like, isn't that the whole ecosystem of the whole thing? It's just a client on the client, right? So, like, even just run the connection to the client. But like, give that to me as the portal that opens up the client that gets me to the thing or whatever. I don't care, but like, let me take my deck into the game. Let me trade cards while I'm in the game. Like, that's, that to me is what this is really about. If there's no cross utilization between all of these other games, it's useless. You know what I mean? Then it's like, whatever. It's just like any other reward, and I should be able to just put that up on some marketplace and sell it. But it has, just like D3 had their live marketplace. We did this already. We don't need a blockchain to be able to do it. You really don't, but
Yeah, it's absolutely the dream, and maybe it seems so far out now. I mean, we had it dangled in front of our face, but now the reality is like, oh crap, this is really hard. But you're right, in terms of like within the same company, it's definitely doable within the same company.
we
And
need, there's shysters out there, not to cut your costs, but there was a bunch
oh
of
yeah,
fucking shysters out there as well,
yeah,
too. Like,
yeah,
all these fucking people who are just at the top, tippity top, like, oh, great, we made $1 billion. Like, sweet, I'm gonna buy myself a plane. I'm
yeah,
buying myself a new Lamborghini.
yeah.
It's just like, oh, sweet, yeah, like, this fucking cash cow is never gonna goddamn end. Like, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, like, all these companies that just had good shit, and they, were built on good promise, and then you get into their financials, and you're like, oh, CEO's embezzling again? It's like, ah, cool, how many is that? Like, tick that one off the fucking box, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Crypto
The
bingo.
dream and the promise is so strong. There's so many people succeeding that way.
Yeah.
At a very small level, though, like for example, in Street Fighter 6, you can walk into the arcade, you can see people sitting on Street Fighter machines. You won't see a real time display of what they're playing, but it emulates that. But also, you can walk over to an old games section where you can play old Capcom games, like Final Fight and other things. So that's kind of like a in-house metaverse where you're playing a game within a game, and it's just like tying it all together. So
Well, yeah.
if you're within the same ecosystem, like you said, playing Hearthstone at the tavern in WoW, that's one way to do it. And we should stick to that for now. And then once people get used to this idea and are clamoring for more, maybe metaverse will finally come in for real.
You got to build your social layer. I love that implementation of what we're looking at, with that Street Fighter game, right? Like,
Yeah.
they build their social layer on top of the barcade experience,
Yeah.
which like can be an extremely intimidating experience if you go to fucking some of
Yeah.
these places. Like, you walk in, yeah, there's a bar, but every fucking machine is Street Fighter. And everybody's trying to challenge you, and they all know way more than you. And if you button mash, they're like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Yeah, you suck. Whatever. Like, it's so classist. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But those elite kids, like, they're fucking propped up so hard. Yes.
I want to say something about Street Fighter 6's implementation. So yeah, it's this whole battle room. It looks like a modern arcade, and then there's this one big screen in the back that everyone can see, no matter how far away you are. I don't know what is gonna get displayed on there. Maybe the algorithm randomly picks one. But for example, yeah, I do have like there's this one night where we were playing at a bar, and it was not just there's laptops set up and whatnot across the pool tables, but we also played on the big screen. And that was the closest thing I had ever seen to recreating the 90s experience, which is a machine and everyone could see who's king of the hill. And I remember I was the king for a while. Everyone was trying to take me down. The people were lined up
Yeah.
on the bar
I'm
to
gonna
play
beat this
me.
motherfucker,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna beat his fucking ass.
Yeah.
And then they get over there, and then you absolutely trounce them, and then they want to
Yeah.
fight you in the fucking parking lot. And it's like, fuck
Yeah.
you, dude. I beat you in the
I-
video game.
Yeah. So I loved how it recreates the experience where everyone at least could see the shared screen and they know who the king of the hill is. They have a storyline forming. And eventually the one guy is like, all right, I've had enough of Calvin. I'm gonna line up. And he goes there and he does knock me off of my throne. But it was such a great community experience. And I don't know if Street Fighter 6 is gonna recreate that, but they're trying to.
See, it's hard in those senses because you see, like, one of the things I constantly try to push with my teams and stuff like that is exactly what you're talking about, which is the story of the player and the individual concept, right? And it's something that we have in our own minds, but external story is really important in communicating external story, right? So, like, when I'm in the 90s and it's real life and I'm going to the same barcade all the time, then I have this moment of, well, people are going to recognize me from seeing me over and over again, and they're going to see
Yeah.
my achievements and see how much I grow and see how much I move up, see where I am on the totem pole, like where I am on that tree, right? In video games, we have a sense of that in MMOs where we have achievement lists, we have end game raids that you're trying to push forward for, we have this gear and gear rating system that we say, like, if you're end game rating, you have the big perps, you got the big gems, you got the big enchantments, you got all the best shit, right? So somebody can look at you and say, like, that's your achievement and that's your player story, but they didn't see you necessarily, like, come up in that world or get to that point. So, like, a big thing that in social interactions and social circles, especially when we're talking about MMOs and social, making sure that we can communicate the player journey throughout the whole time of, like, allowing players to, like, really set apart, like, who they are, and so that other players can recognize achievement really easily is, like, super
Yeah.
important. And a lot of that is not just necessarily, like, just emojis or just anything else. It's, like, kind of simple things like banners and reputation and like can I give you a helpfulness score? Like, I'd love to see somebody, like, having just a helpfulness score and just being able to award progression or points or something off of just, like, hey, are you just, like, a helpful person? Like, did you just come over and start helping some noobs, like, do a couple of quests? Well, like, that gave you nothing, but it gave you some rep, gave you some points. Problem is that people will min max the fuck out of everything. So it's like, yeah, right, great. If you give them a helpfulness score and then you tell them, like, yeah, you could do better and you can move up on that rank, but, like, they'll almost, like, psycho break it where they're like, no, let me fucking help you. Like, I need to help you. You need to go and press this button right now and give me
Yeah.
a thumbs up, and if you don't, then fuck you. You fucking suck. It's like, nah, like, that's not what we're here for at the same time, but
That's that Black Mirror episode where everyone's giving each other 5 stars.
I
Once it's
can't.
gamified.
I couldn't. So, like, Jesus Christ, I love that old TV show that I can't remember the name of, and I'm just gonna keep saying love until I fucking remember it. With the gremlins and everything else like that, you know what I mean?
Twilight Zone?
Thank you for saving my fucking existence. I love this show. I've watched every episode multiple times. I can't watch Black Mirror.
Wow, you
Can't
probably
watch it.
think I'm such a little kid because I've never seen Twilight Zone, and I'm like, yeah, Black Mirror, but I'm sure
No,
they copied a lot.
no. I can't watch it because I think Black Mirror is so good. Like,
Interesting.
it's so key and on point. Like, I watched the first episode, right, and it's like the pig fucker
Hmm.
British Prime Minister, and I'm like, ah, shit, like this was right at the time where like the British PM was getting called out for fucking a pig's head in thing, and then all of a sudden they make it. The first episode is built around this whole concept. Fuck, like this is fucking nuts, dude. He's out here fucking a pig on fucking live TV show. What the hell are we doing here? And then you see like the McDonald's episode or whatever. It's like get on the bike to go and like earn your food or whatever like that, right? You know. Then you see McDonald's in Asia like literally has that, and you're like, oh no. Like,
That's why it's referenced so much when you're on point like that.
yeah, I'm a Unabomber kind of kid. Not really. Jokes.
Guys.
I'm outside. I'm just outside a lot. No, not really. But I just, yeah, it's, I mean, that's the thing. Whatever. But I can't watch it. It's tough for me to watch because it is too on point. It's too close to home, and that kind of like drags me down a little bit.
Yeah, metaverse gamification, social in places that like social's creeping into areas that we once thought weren't social, and I do believe that is the way we're gonna go. And I know people don't like that, but. I think overall we like it, but like we're just resistant to certain changes. So I think it's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I think it's just this is where the generational gap comes in, right? Where it's like for me, I'm already behind, and for the gap has widened, and I will continue, and I will continue to fail and fall behind. Like I've seen some of these pitch decks for card games that aren't mine and stuff like that. Like I don't want to do what they're doing.
Okay.
I don't want to sell a game off of how they're selling the game. Oh my god, look at our TikTok impressions. Look at our Instagram things we built. And it's like, hey, where's your game? You know what I mean? Can you talk to me about your game? Like, can you maybe talk to me about the merit of your game? Like, no, it's 3 slides of who did we work with to build a brand recognition, to build, to oh my god, we did this TikTok and it made 1.2 million impressions, and it's just like plus followers. Like, great. Can anybody tell me how that translated to sales? Did it translate to sales? If it didn't translate to sales, then can you just tell me about how it like found your target? Like how did this define your audience a little bit more? Like I don't know. Did you have some key learnings or like I don't know, right? I get it. That's how we're selling games, we're marketing games. You build a shit and you got to market the game, and it's got to go to somebody, right? But like that's where I have learned so much more that my gap is just like completely widened, and it's not going to get any smaller. I'm just never going to be successful in those things, and I don't know what to do about that because I think I've missed it at this point.
Listen,
I've missed it, dude. I'm a fucking old man, dude. I'm boomed out, man. I'm boomed out.
No.
I'm not TikTok. I'm not
promise
Instagram.
Each other. Whatever the next hot social media is, we're both gonna jump on it.
No.
So we're gonna skip TikTok and just go to the next one.
No, I'm not dancing. I'm not doing it. I don't want to. I don't care. I don't care enough. I don't give a shit. Sorry. No. Like the next one right now would be Kick.
I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah. Like,
I assume it's KIK or something.
No, you would think. You would think.
Oh no!
You would think it's literally KICK.
What?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is that even the domain? I don't know how they got a 4-letter domain in this fucking day and age, but yeah, whatever.
Oh, speaking of which, Substack. So Substack is kind of like a newsletter. I don't know. It's like. Okay, I don't actually know.
A monetizable blog is what it is.
Yeah. It's like Medium
in one place.
Yeah. It's like Medium, but it also sends out newsletters. Is my best take on it. But
and that's viral marketing problematic. That's one of those things that like you look at those like how to get rich quick things. It's like
Yeah.
write a newsletter, get subscriptions, and then sell the newsletter. It's just like fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I have
I'm fucking
first off,
sick of it.
I have no idea why Substack succeeded while Medium failed, but that's not necessarily my point. But yesterday, Substack came out with Substack Notes. I was like, okay, what's this? And apparently, it's just bite-sized Substacks, which ends up just looking like Twitter. I clicked on it. It was a guy who posted a note, and then other people keep posting notes. And now I'm like, wow, I don't really want to look at this. It's just another Twitter to me. But I hope to be proven wrong.
No comment.
No, it's fine. I get it. I understand. I won't tweet. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't have enough. The idea of just throwing random shit to the void is sad. I don't know. It's just like it has like this like weird sad appeal, like non-appeal to me, right? Like oh, I'm just gonna put this tweet out. Like it was like on Facebook, you know, like probably not because I'm like not a popular kid or whatever, right? But like you're like think like having a great day, like let me take a picture of my ice cream and like pop it out to the vapid void of people, and you're like. My girlfriend tells me this, and she goes and says, well, I do it because my friends are distributed all over the world, and it's a way for me to touch in and, like, let them know, like, you know, like, what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But it's also not it's not you actually reaching out and having a genuine, meaningful connection with those individuals. All you're doing is, like, posting an idealized version of what you're doing in that one time, in that one moment. And that's not necessarily representative of even the day or like what you're actually going through at those moments. You're showing off just like, you know, you're showing off just like where you are more than like how you're actually doing, which is what the real genuine human connection would be. And if these people were really your friends and you actually gave a shit about them, you would call them or text them or reach out every now and again and like be like, hey, like how are you doing, you know? And like actually have like a real thing. So it's like you're not doing that. You're showing off what you think that you want. You're just like having as these check-in periods to just try to make sure that everybody like knows that one, you're either still alive or like you're still doing something, and two, you know, you're almost like stat ranking yourself against like I'm doing cool shit. Hey, I hope everybody else is doing cool shit. Yeah, like you're cool shit. You're doing cool shit, and it's just like, yeah, great, we're living life, sick, like awesome. You know what I mean? And maybe that's a very nihilist approach to it all, but, you know, I'm a more insular person when it comes to these things, so.
Have you ever heard of this app called Be Real?
Ah, shit, no. But this sounds
Okay,
like
no, it's okay.
Sounds like some Manaverse bullshit. What is this?
I had to look it up, but okay. So when you look up this for the first time, here's the headline. Be Real is Gen Z's new favorite social media app. What it is at a random. This addresses your exact thing that you just said.
Also, is there a fucking thing? BeRe.al? Is that their website?
It sounds like it might be. I don't know it myself.
Jesus Christ!
What was that Albania?
Your friends for real.
Yeah. Okay, so. At a random time throughout the day, you'll get a notification, and then like in 2 minutes, you need to take a picture of what you're doing. So it could just be you're getting water, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta take a picture. So you take a picture of yourself doing the mundane thing of pouring water for yourself. So this is supposed to address what you said about the always showing the idealized version of what you're doing. So yeah, they got this covered, man. This is real. This is the real stuff. We should sign up for it, me and you. We're gonna sign up for this and show what we actually do.
Yeah, great. I'm sitting in front of the computer again.
Yeah.
I'm jacking off again.
Here's me not coding when I should be coding.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm petting my dog. Sick. Awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a bath. Sick. Cooking some dinner. Sick. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yep.
fucking being cranky and driving. I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, getting screwed over at McDonald's, which you had this morning.
Jesus Christ, dude! They charged me $11 for a fucking coffee and an egg McMuffin. It's like, what are we doing here? This woman blindsided me with the whole. She was like, "You must be a mailman." She went and said 1066, and then looked at me and said, "You must be a mailman," and I was just like, "Huh? 1066 mailman?" I like totally blindsided, and then she went and got me the car, and I was like, "How much was that?" And then she told me, and I was like, "For a coffee and an egg McMuffin? What are you talking about?" And then she's like, "Oh," and then it became a whole kerfuffle. So
These are San Francisco prices.
done. Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Oh, the girlfriend, I love her to death. She constantly goes over and gets a $1 sweet tea. Large $1 sweet tea that's just high fructose corn syrup, just like oozing out. It's like sticky to the taste. It's just, I don't know. Fair play to her, I guess. Hopefully she doesn't die of diabetes. We'll be okay. I'll monitor it. I'm fat enough as it is by myself, so she has to be the one that keeps our healthy side. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, I think in general, like, you know, like, looking at the articles of GDC after the whole fact and everything else like that, like, you know, I could definitely see where there's some kerfuffles and some, you know, some fuckery and everything like that happening. But, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where you got to be careful when you're at any of these events, especially a worky kind of event where, like, they're giving away free drink tickets at almost every one of these parties and stuff like that. It's really easy to kind of, like, lose yourself in the whole thing as well, too. So just making sure that you're always just, like, very clearly watching your intake of alcohol is, like, really important, you know? Like, I mean, a real serious note on that is just, you'll ruin your entire event. It's a week-long thing, and you got to be back up and at the event the next morning at 7:38 a.m. You know what I mean? And you're out until fucking 2 a.m. the night before. Like, you better be watching how much you're drinking, you know? Because you won't be able to sit in a talk hungover and fucking deal with that and then have to go over and talk to other people and then be sweating and just red in the face the entire time. It's just like, it's not going to work out for you, you know?
Yep. I've seen the college kids fall for it. It's like, oh man, this is a great party to be at. It's like, dude, you paid a good amount of money to be here. You gotta be real careful.
Yeah. You gotta utilize it for everything it has. But look, what do we want to do? Like, when we come back next week, what do you think we want to hop into? You mean one of the things that I just want to, like, try to figure out for us is, like, with the you mean, this is kind of a little thing that I'm thinking about from a statistics standpoint, or is, like, with the downturn of Web3 in general at some of these events, right? Like, I just don't know when this crypto winter stops for a lot of people. Like, obviously, I think, like, I'm vested because I wanted to hedge my bets against whatever inflation could happen, right? Like, hey, here's this new emerging technology, maybe in 30 years it'll be worth something, you know? But I don't know if we're going to see in that for, like, another 10 years now, or if that's just going to, I don't think it's going to go away, obviously, but it's not necessarily here. But I don't know, should we try and find some games that are on our horizons that we should be looking at for the rest of the year?
It's probably a good idea.
Should we talk about, like, combat or combat design or something like that? Should we talk about...
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I have been playing games, but it's because there's a Humble Bundle that had 9 Survivor-like games. So 9 Vampire Survivor games. I know that's not your cup of tea, and it's not a lot of people's cup of tea. But I was playing that, which is, I don't know, it's like, it's also not super exciting to talk about because they were all fairly similar. Like, it's...
Yeah, but it must be, like, right in line for, like, what you're doing, though.
It is. It absolutely is.
And you talked to Neil Edwards out the other day, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sick. Oh, that's good. No, he told me that he had just, like, a really good kind of conversation with you.
Yeah.
I mean, so
yeah,
I'm just glad that that's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just glad that those two circles have come together a little bit more.
I have been reaching out to more people, and this was related to, or this was in my mind when I was talking about networking and sucking utterly at it, and now that I'm like looking at people that like I resemble, I'm like, oh man, I used to be totally like that. I can kind of compare and be like, damn, I've actually gone a long way. I'm sure even this first podcast, I'm sure I was like, I had no real things to say. And,
No, I think we had more to say.
Yeah?
I think we had more to say.
well, we're more comfortable talking about it now. We're more comfortable talking about nothing.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, we need to figure out. I think that we had topics, we had things like, you know, I mean, if you look back over some of the first episodes, like, we had design ideas that we definitely had backed up on, that, you know, the two of us wanted to talk over, and then we kind of went through it. But then you hit that cadence of like, well, you gotta do one a week, and then we're not really.
Right.
We used to do like bits of planning and be like, okay, well, like, here's a bunch of topics and like have some ideas about it. And then now it's like I don't have any of those types of things anymore, right? Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily, none in my like back pocket. So, yeah, I don't.
You know what?
Yeah. So
you did give me some ideas for how we should approach this. I can talk to you about it after the episode.
Yeah, we will. All right, Calvin. I think we're good.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, look, it's only April. Somehow, you know, it's the 4th month of the year. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
We're gonna have a little GDC talk. We're gonna be like, hey, we got this world famous podcast. We'll talk about it.
No worries. All right, dude. Talk to you later.